All right, let's go.
Episode 10 of Let Her Shoot.
Is this 10? Have we done double digits now?
Pause. Sorry. I know you hate that.
About that joke. It's the stupidest joke. I don't get it.
I bet our boy audience gets it, though.
It's a boy joke, and I don't like boy jokes, and you know that I don't like boy jokes.
But guess what? Who likes boy jokes? Other people in our audience. I bet Adrian's husband will get it.
I make big moves in my big heels. Since the day that I was born, I've been a big deal.
Welcome to Let Her Shoot. The only podcast that covers women's sports the way we want them covered. Actually covering the sports themselves. Players that you may not know besides the four names. Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, whoever else the other two is that ESPN or any other four-letter network has decided to crown as queen. No kid gloves. We actually have respect for the athletes. We also get blocked. We say things that get us blocked. So stay locked in. Who do you know who's getting blocked by Dijonai? Sarah Chovnick, 2-time Emmy award-winning producer. Trysta Krick, 0-time Emmy award-winning talent. Ollie, who is handsome, my puppy. So welcome to the show. I got in trouble this week. So I call the Nana, the kitty cat, I call it the watermelon.
Yeah.
And I went on Cam and Mace. And I was talking about Zion getting accused of some domestic stuff. And I was saying, hey, he's a celebrity. He doesn't have a lot of impulse control. He's always fat. And then so I was talking about food, but then I brought it back to being like, it doesn't surprise me that Zion's getting, I forget exactly what I said, but something along the lines of chasing the watermelon. Camera goes, yo, that's racist, yo. I said, no, I didn't mean it like food. I mean it like... So anyway, I think I'm going to retire it. I think I'm going to use... I think I'm going to use Nana or mango. Maybe mangoes.
I really hate all of those.
What's the substitute? You have to, in order to come to me with a problem, I need a solution.
That's on you. I'm gonna leave that one.
You don't have a word that you use?
No, I think we should move on.
Well, we're watching Love Island this weekend.
Yeah, we did both watch Love Island. We're all caught up. Latest episodes. Who are you gonna? Okay, let's say you're picking a team. Start, bench, trade. The Love Island.
I think we're cutting. I think it's not even a trade. Yeah. I'm starting Ace, and it's not really close. Ace is funny. Ace is handsome. Ace is kind of low drama. He's happy to dance and have joy in the rain. Not many men enjoy the rain, He's also like the guy that people are like, he's talking people down and like, hey, we are supposed to explore other connections right now. We are supposed to check out other people's mangoes, And
right.
See how I integrated mangoes quite.
Yeah, okay. I got it. Okay.
So anyway, and he's handsome, and I think like he's the least toxic of the guys. And then I think we gotta go to Shelly. Shelly is a very close one, actually. She could easily be a start. She's for the ladies and for the guys that you get extra cool points for that. She admitted to hooking up with two different people in the same day, and they asked her to explain, and she was like, yeah, I was dating two women, hit one of them in the morning, hit the other one in the evening. I was like, damn, girl, just put it out there like that. It has no shame. She's complete. I think she's very aware. She's not rushing into anything, even though her and Ace have a back and forth. She's not crying when he doesn't choose her, and he chose that bitch who I'm going to cut, Amaya. She's terrible. She's terrible.
I'm cutting Austin.
We'll get to yours, okay?
I'm not going to give such a long tirade about mine as you are, but continue.
Well, you're just not a traditional talent in that sort,
right,
where you don't have.
I'm not an analyst. No.
You don't have the Love Island brain. Amaya is terrible. She's main character energy. She's so loud. And it's almost like she's a robot and she'll step over other people as they're answering the thing that she's asking them. She's awful. She needs to go. I can't believe Ace chose her. It actually brings Ace down a notch in the sense that I think he's playing cat and mouse with Shelly.
I think I'm going to go. I think I'm starting Shelly for the same reasons you said. I'm going to bench Ace for, again, the same reasons you said. And I feel like I gotta, actually, no, I'm going to change my cut. I'm not going to cut Austin because I think Austin means well. I just don't think there's a lot going on
Yep.
upstairs. He's, what did I call him? The Walmart Justin Hartley.
Yeah, he's so dumb. He's a pool boy. Pool boys aren't going to be engineers.
But he means well. He
meditates.
Well. I'm going to tell you who gives me big red flag energy right now.
It's Huda.
Huda.
Yeah.
Huda.
Coulda, woulda.
Huda, coulda, woulda. She's given me, I'm getting her out of town. I feel like that's not what you need on your roster right now. So I think we got to move on.
What's wild is that Huda, for those who don't know anything about Love Island, because this is like my second season that I've watched, they put all these baddies onto the island. They see who hooks up with who. There's couplings, there's recouplings, there's games to make each other jealous. There's new people that come in to make you jealous and question your relationship. Huda is a possessive bitch, and she's been locking her claws in to this baddie, Jeremiah, who looks kind of like Craig David, since moment one. She and then he knew she had
Craig David.
One. What was it? Hold on, no.
That's not him.
No, that's not him. Hold on. No, hold on. 7 days. Met her on a date on Tuesday. We were making love by Wednesday. Yeah. And on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we chill on Sunday. Met this girl on Monday. He kind of looks like that.
All right.
So
I do love that song.
So anyway, she had her claws in him literally from the first kiss. He won't even let anybody else kiss him. That's how crazy that bitch is. He was like, don't want this smoke. And she's got a whole baby. Didn't even want to tell him. And on top of that, she's the most popular one on Love Island. She's gained like 600,000 followers in 4 days. I don't know what her total is, but boy, she's really like skyrocketed up in terms of her Instagram following. Do you have a bug?
I have a bug, and it's driving me crazy because it's attracted to the ring light. Let's go to
some real, some actual.
Let's go to some
women's sports topics that people are actually here for. Yeah,
sort of. But we're gonna start with the Twitter fight that the world witnessed this weekend, and I'm not talking about Elon and Donald.
And you're not talking about us and Dijonai.
And us and Dijonai that we'll get back to later. But Simone Biles versus Riley Gaines, which, listen, all I had to see was the names of both, and I immediately know who I'm going to. Riley Gaines back on her bullshit, as Riley Gaines does. The only reason we know Riley Gaines is for her bullshit, by the way, not for her performance in anything whatsoever, other than coming in
fifth.
Swimmer. College swimmer? Did she?
I think so.
Yes. She finished 5th one time, notably to a trans swimmer, and has not been able to let it go since. So,
by the way, really quickly, just hanging on to that in your soul for this amount of time.
A 5th place ribbon
is so.
Let it go.
It is so pathetic. It is just really. It's really like embarrassing.
It's really pathetic.
It's embarrassing.
And it wasn't even a win. It was a 5th. Like, girl, let it go. Let it go. Anyway, so Riley Gaines, she comments on, because, she's a troll, right? Like, she's a troll under the bridge looking for ways to make herself relevant. She's very, like, Tommy Lauren, Like, that's what she is.
Tommy Lauren is as good of a poll as Craig David.
So this is what Riley Gaines does. She just, is a troll on the internet. A girls' softball team in Minnesota won a state title, and one of their players happens to be a trans girl, which of course has sparked Riley Gaines into absolute furious she turns into the little guy from Inside Out with, like the hair going, like the
The
fire hair.
anxiety.
And she says, comments off, LOL, to be expected when your star player is a boy. So Simone Biles, scrolling through her Twitter account,
By the way,
sees this and
is that
goes,
even factually accurate that their star player is trans, or is it just a player on the team that's trans?
I don't even know if it's a star. I don't even know if it's a star player. A player on the team is trans and could be the star player, could not be the star player. I don't really think it matters. Regardless, Riley Gaines, if there was a trans person even in the stadium, Riley Gaines would find a way to make
If
that the
Riley
problem.
Gaines was Nyjah Kennedy, you wouldn't care at all. I mean, if the trans player who's on the team was like as important to the team as Nyjah Kennedy is, would it matter at all to you?
To me?
Yes.
No.
Would it matter at all to the world?
Well, I think we've determined that the world cares about what trans people do more than they care about anything else in their lives, including the economy or, their own children or women's rights or dying children in other countries. As long as trans rights are stopped, that's all we care about. So anyway, I'm not going to go on a
Yeah,
rant
of
about this.
course.
We've
We've done
ranted about
this.
the trans rights things before. Simone Biles tweets at Riley Gaines, "You're truly sick. All of this complaining, all of this campaigning because you lost a race. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports more inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. Maybe a transgender category in all sports. But instead, you bully them. One thing's for sure, no one in sports is safe with you around."
That's the epitome of, yes, I believe you are under the bridge waiting like a leprechaun to strike. And no one is safe in our sports community as long as you're under the bridge.
So 50 million people viewed that tweet, which is kind of crazy. Then Simone, not done yet, decides to add another one, and she says, "Bully someone your own size," which would ironically be male.
Do you consider the possibility that Simone Biles has like a Gen Z social media manager, or do you think,
Like we do?
yeah, or do you think it's actually Simone Biles just over here ethering this hoe? Sorry,
Oh, I think Simone,
logged
I
on.
think that was all
You think
Simone.
you
I
logged?
think
Yeah.
Simone, yeah, do you remember after she won the gold medal at the Olympics and she said, like, love my black
Oh
job?
yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that? That was it, like Trump being like, we have black jobs and we have white jobs, and and she was like, well, I love my black job. I love Simone. That Simone gives no shits. But then Riley comes back at Simone and throws her sexual assault out into the world and says, all the horrific sexual abuse Simone Biles witnessed and spoke out against caused by one man, yet believes women should be forced to strip naked in front of men to validate the man's feelings. You know how many gold medals you'd have if your inclusive dream came true? Zero. So he's comparing Larry Nasser to a middle school girl on a softball team or a high school girl on a softball team.
It's wild. I'll just say this. I could tell things were getting inflamed when you Google Simone Biles, Riley Gaines, the first thing you see, New York Post. You already know what time it is with New York Post. Second thing you see, Outkick. You already know what time it is with Outkick. Third thing you see, Fox News. You already know what time it is with Fox News.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Daily Mail.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Daily Mail. And all of
Daily
them
Mail,
are
yes.
Riley. Yeah, this one is Simone Biles incinerated her legacy in
I
just
saw
two
that.
tweets.
I saw that. I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and
Get
disagree.
out
I
of
just
here.
disagree.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hard disagree on that. Yeah.
Danica fucking Patrick chimed in.
Danica Patrick, who is, by the way, can I tell
By
you
the
one
way,
of my
should have been perfect for Aaron Rodgers if he wasn't an alleged
Right?
abuser. They do seem like a lot of commonalities. Conspiracy theories, right-wing nut jobs. No shade to them, but they are kind of It's hard to shade them and say no shade, but you know what I'm saying, okay?
But shade to them. I don't think Danica Patrick's coming on our podcast. I think we can throw shade at her. I don't
Okay.
think we're her cup of tea. I will say one of my favorite things, this is not really related to this whatsoever, but do you remember those old school Sports Center commercials that were like, this is Sports Center, and it would be an athlete and they were like
They're like
doing
at
something?
ESPN. They're like at
Yeah, like at the
ESPN
headquarters or
headquarters.
whatever. So
Yes.
there was this one commercial that was, and I couldn't even tell you what it was for. Like, I can't tell you who it was, but it was someone, and they pull into a parking lot and they park and they get out and they walk into the building. It was some athlete. But the car that they parked next to was this like beat up, and I don't think it was on purpose. Like, I think it was just whatever car was in the parking lot, and it's like halfway parked over a line, and it's got like a huge dent in the side, and it's like rusting on and whatever. And the top pinned comment on this YouTube video, 1.8 million likes, was, "Who parked that Saturn? Danica Patrick?" And
Wow.
every time I think of Danica Patrick, I think, who parks that Saturn? Danica Patrick? Let's talk now about Liberty skipping their White House. They said, I'm going to go see the real president.
The New York Liberty, the world champs, WNBA team, who are already on a tear after trading for Natasha Cloud, who I love, who, by the way, is also on a blocking spree. Not us, but
Are we blocked?
No, we're not blocked, but she's doing some blocking, so be careful.
Okay.
Anyway, they decide it was the time of the year where you go to the White House, aka the gayest team in the WNBA, and they said, no, we're not going. We're gonna schedule. I think it's so boss to schedule your own White House visit with a president who's no longer in office in his family.
Yeah, they said, we're going to go hang out with the Obamas.
Fair, honestly, even regardless of your politics, but not also. I think Obama is a much better hang than Trump. I think Michelle is a much better hang than was it Melania?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now.
Melania can barely just contain her ick right now. Okay, she'd be like, "Get out!" You know, like have you seen?
I haven't seen her.
She's not even get out. Where she's like, "Get out."
The Liberty Lesbians and Sabrina were not going to show up at the White House.
I think you started a trend, by the way.
The Liberty Lesbians and Sabrina.
Yeah, because people were like, who called her that? It's like, just Sarah. Sarah called them the Liberty Lesbians plus Sabrina. It's like a boy band or a girl band.
I think we should get shirts made, some merch made that say Liberty Lesbians, and then on the back it's just like, and Sabrina.
And Sabrina. Sorry, no WNBA team has ever visited the White House during a Trump administration.
You want to talk about some Coco?
I want to talk about, hold on.
I don't think we have the rights to this.
Fair use.
Oh, there it is.
I'm in love with
I do know that song. Yeah, I do remember that song.
You know who's not in love with the Coco? Aryna Sabalenka.
She is not in love with the Coco right now. I will tell you that. So Coco won her second major, took down Aryna at the French Open. It was hella windy. I didn't watch it. You watched it. I just watched the bits and pieces afterwards.
I absorbed it. It was at 6 a.m.
It was early.
It was really early.
Which, that's because, remember, no one cares about the women, according to the French Open. So
the last I saw before the win, I was in and out, but the last I was fully cognizant was Coco was on the ropes. Coco on the ropes. I think it was 40 love. And I was like, ooh, Coco's done. And it's windy. She looks frustrated. And then what'd she do? She won 5 consecutive points. 5. And then even though she lost that set, she was like, yo, I felt I won it. And then that was an hour and 18-minute long first set. That's why I was sleeping, girl. That's why I was sleeping. And then Coco took the next two sets, and our girl Coco is Coco, but their girl Sabalenka committed 70 unforced errors. 70.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Shitload. Is it not?
That's a lot. That is a lot. But it wasn't necessarily what happened on the court. that became the headline of things. What became the headline was afterwards. And
Aryna being a shady bitch.
Aryna was a little bit shady to the media immediately following the result. And her words kind of made it sound as if she was saying that anyone would have beaten her. Coco was nothing special that day. Coco
And you
didn't
know what?
really win it. And
The translation, so this is what she said. I think Coco won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all those mistakes. It was more windy. I was over emotional. I didn't handle myself mentally. Basically, that's it. I was making unforced errors. I don't know. I have to check the stats. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made those mistakes. If you look from the outside, from kind of easy balls. My translation is if I was playing my game and it wasn't so damn windy, I would have smoked her ass. And I was smoking her ass to start out.
I got a question though.
Yep.
Because you know that one of my favorite games to play is Devil's Advocate.
Yep.
Right. Because she's gotten a lot of backlash for this, right? She had to come out, she had to make an apology saying, like, I didn't really mean it that way. I meant, like.
She also, Sarah, before you play Devil's Advocate, she
Okay.
also said it felt sometimes like Coco was hitting the ball from the frame of her racket. Somehow, magically, the ball lands in the court and you're kind of on your back foot. Magically? Bitch, I will cut you. If I'm Coco right now, listen, that's not what you're about to do to me. Act like it was luck. Act like the only reason the ball was hitting the court so hard was because it was metal and not the strings of the racket or whatever. It's nonsense.
I'll give you that. I will say, though, that initial quote, anytime you watch a Super Bowl, anytime you watch an NBA Finals, that is always what the losing team says. They didn't win, we beat ourselves. That is always what they say.
They don't go into detail about it.
They do sometimes. You see it all the time. When it's a it's more acceptable.
I think when it's a team sport, there's so many different things that go into it. But there's plenty of times, though, where it's like they were just the better team. They were just the better team today. She says Coco was not incredible. Guess what? The devil doesn't need an advocate. Boom. I don't know a goddamn thing about Sabalenka. Not a thing. All I know is when you watched her mannerisms on the court, she threw a fucking tantrum. Which, again, male athletes do all the time. Yes. That's fair. Number 2, she was a shady bitch afterwards. Okay? And then Coco took the high ground, was like, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt because she's tripping right now. She's losing it. She had to go on Good Morning America, Coco, and was like, listen, I had to give her the benefit of the doubt on that. You know, like she played.
I'm saying, if Coco's giving her the benefit of the doubt, why can't everyone else?
No, that's because Coco is classy.
Is a good person. Because
Coco is like, I'm not about to say, no, warrior. Guess what? But what I will say is when you pair the nonsense on the court, all of her mannerisms, all of her, I don't want to say histrionics because that's such a loaded term, but the tantrum that she threw, and she was throwing it the whole time. And then what she said afterwards, and then the Instagram, I had to put this up and say, actually, I made 70 unforced errors, so I can't pretend it was a great day for me, but both things can be true. I didn't play my best, and Coco stepped up and played with poise and purpose. That seems, and she earned that title, that seems like, hey, a PR department said, listen, you got to clean this up.
I did text you and said, it does, whatever that first sentence was, what was it? And I said, it does feel like...
What'd she say? It was a bad day for me.
Coco handled the conditions much better than I did and fully deserves the win. And I said, that does sound like she has a gun to her head. Coco deserved to win.
ChatGPT, help me out.
It was definitely written for her. I mean, to be fair, English is not her first language. I can't, we also got to give her that.
Fair. Also, really fast before we switch gears, Patrick Mouratoglou. He went on and someone asked him about the fact that the women were not being played at night. And he said, Well, there's no stars in the women's game except for Coco. And I think, as much as I don't know if he's a piece of shit because I don't know him at all and I don't know enough about tennis culture to know anything about him, but regardless, I think that's true. I think maybe Naomi, but Naomi's kind of a different breed in terms of her just the way that she comports herself. She's a little bit more introverted. That's not really superstar quality, even though I think the media wanted to thrust her into stardom, and she really was like, kind of, I just want to play tennis and chill like Kevin Durant. But Coco is a star, superstar. And outside of Coco, I don't care about Sabalenka, and she's number 1 in the world. I don't care about Iga. Can't even pronounce her name correctly because I don't really care that much about her. I care about American stars. That's what I care about. So I think he's kind of right about that.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think that that's the problem. It's the same problem golf has right now. There's no stars, like there's Nelly Korda, but yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, I don't think that there's no Serenas right now, right?
There's
Like
no Venuses.
there's no Venus, there's no Serena, there's no, what's the really tall one?
Oh yeah, Sharapova.
Sharapova. There's
Even
no,
Sharapova though was like cuspy for me, very cuspy. For me,
I mean, okay, fair.
I went and saw her. I paid my whatever it was to get into Wimbledon to queue and get a ticket to see her, and she's fine. But she's not. And I know it's a global game. She's not American.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's Coco is an American, and I think that it's really good for American tennis and American sports that we have another American woman back, you know, winning these big tournaments that are the ones the Americans watch because we're not as dialed in on the week to week basis of the tennis
Correct.
tour. That is kind of what it boils down to is we have so many sports over here that we put all our attention really into, like for both golf and tennis. I think we watch the 4 big ones. That's kind of
Yes.
how we pay attention to the sport, if unless you're really, really dialed in. So yeah, I think anytime an American is winning those.
You saw that in the men's game with Tiafoe, right? And I think you saw that with golf with Tiger. And I think honestly, there's a component of maybe it's just me, maybe it's just the people I grew up with. If you can get some dominant Black American stars in white sports, it's even better. Coco, Venus, Serena, Tiafoe from Baltimore. He's from the DMV. Tiger, like that transcends. That's like it really breaks through. Like you had Spike Lee at the French Open.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
You had Spike Lee there. If it's Iga versus Sabalenka, you think Spike Lee is there? Absolutely not. And Coco said after the match, just to be able to be a representation of that and a representation of people that look like me in America, who maybe don't feel as supported during this time period, being that reflection of hope and light for those people. That's kind of what
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, because you need to have those people to look at and say, oh, there is good. This entire world is not out to put me down. There are people who are like Coco who are saying, hey, you could be like me one day. If you can see her, you can be her.
Well, and even not even just like, oh, not the whole world is out to get me. It's also I can watch something and see myself in it somewhere.
That's what I mean. Like it gives you that hope. Quickly, WNBA headline: Courtney Vandersloot out for the season. Big loss for the Sky, who were already terrible. But they now have to rely on Hailey Van Lith. And what are your thoughts on Sky?
I think the Sky are terrible. I think Courtney Vandersloot has been given a gift to hang out with Allie Quigley, her wife, and her new baby, and not have to be on a team that is just basically a dumpster fire with a coach that I'm not sure knows what they're doing. Angel Reese, she's now sort of taking a backseat to Camila Cardosa. I think those two on the same team don't really work. They don't have a guard that can facilitate, run the offense, get their own shot. We saw that with Kennedy Carter last year. She was really helpful for them. They never got that. Courtney comes back, but Courtney's probably done forever. Like she's probably never going to play a WNBA game again. She was already sort of at the end of her career. So
rehabbing at that age, yeah, it's just too much.
And it's like, you got a new baby. What am I really doing here? Right. So I think the Sky are in real trouble. It's a problem. The way that they're playing, the only teams that they're beating are the Dallas Wings, who is somehow even worse than them. And it's like drama, and the fans aren't happy, and it feels like the locker room's not great. And shockingly, it feels like Teresa Witherspoon, who was their head coach last year, who got fired mid-season, is maybe better than this new coach, which is not saying anything good. So Courtney Vandersloot, really sad loss, but there's so many more issues with the Chicago Sky. And most of that comes from ownership and the lack of ability to invest. Just kind of the Chicago ownership mindset across all of their sports are this way. It's some poverty stuff. Some poverty stuff.
You've got, on one side, you've got the Liberty and the Lynx undefeated, just kind of torching everyone they play.
Destroying people.
I think that the Lynx average differential is 19 points or 20 points or
Liberty.
something like that.
The Liberty's
Liberty.
point differential is 19. The Lynx point differential is 12 and a half. I mean, they're just destroying teams, and there's nothing anyone's going to be able to do about it. It's really just those two. I think maybe you have the Storm there that can maybe be pesky, which we'll see. The Storm plays next week against the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup in Seattle, which is a game I'm kind of toying around with going to. You've got that, and then you've got other teams. So you've got two teams at the top that are really dominant, and then you got a bunch of really shitty teams, including the Dallas Wings, including the Chicago Sky, who, by the way, the Chicago Sky don't even have their own draft pick next year. So if they're bad, that pick that they used on Hailey Van Lith, they traded their 2026 first-round pick for. So Hailey Van Lith, who's not even a WNBA talent, I don't think, and that's no shade to Hailey Van Lith, I just don't think her size, her skill level, I just don't think she's going to be able to contribute to a WNBA team in a meaningful way. And now they're going to probably have maybe the number 1 overall pick, number 2 overall pick, and now they have to give that pick to the Lynx. Think about that.
Which
so
is
now
the team that could very likely be coming off a championship.
Correct. And they end up now get Olivia Miles, or they get Lauren Betts, or who knows, right? Depends on how the season shakes out. They can get
whatever they want. Yeah, they can get whatever they want at this point.
And then you got the Dallas Wings, who are disgusting. 1-9, probably going to end up being 2-16 by the end of this little trip that they have going for them. They have only beaten the Connecticut Sun. And now you got Dijonai, who goes on Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann's little podcast called the Stud Buds. I don't even think it's a podcast. I think it's just a Twitch stream. And they had to be like, yo, who'd y'all even beat? Y'all are 1-8? Who did you beat? Did you beat the Sky? And she's like, no, we didn't beat Chicago. Y'all didn't beat Chicago? That's how bad Chicago is, by the way, when Courtney Williams is stunned that they lost to Chicago twice.
Dijonai, we gotta talk about. Man.
Friend of show, Dijonai Carrington.
She blocked us.
I don't even know how this happened, Sarah.
Can I tell you how shocked I was when I discovered this? By the way, I do think this means that we have officially made it. That Dijonai has blocked us, because you can't get blocked if you're not being talked about, right?
This is like when Brett Favre went out and just blocked everybody. I remember he blocked me.
Well, let's not. I mean, Brett Favre is also a piece of trash.
Totally different. Yes, but I mean, a very prominent figure who's being talked about on the internet that just mass blocks people. There's a lot of people saying that Dijonai has blocked her.
Patrick Reed does that too.
Patrick Reed does that a lot. I've been blocked by Patrick Reed. There was another one as well. It was Ben Roethlisberger who's out there mass blocking as well.
Again,
I know. I cannot make that comparison. We're looking at
3 people who are not good comparisons here.
Okay, it's not a good comparison. Fine. Okay, but what I'm trying to say is, I was so delusional that I checked even my little Oliver Tryst account, which is my dog's puppy Instagram, and couldn't find Dijonai's account. So
did she block your dog?
I think you can block one account and any account that's linked to them.
But you say that, but I didn't get blocked. My personal account's not blocked.
I don't know about that. I can't speak to that, but I looked her up on all 3 of those accounts and you couldn't find her. And so I believed delusionally she must have just deleted her Instagram.
And I told you, no, she didn't. She
And then
just deleted you off of her Instagram. Which is, okay, so we have to go back. So the only thing, we were trying to figure out where this came from. The only thing that I can think is that you saw our clip about her tweet last week and either like didn't watch it all the way through or thought we were going to talk some shit and
it's
just like
probably
immediately hit block.
me saying that the ref was scared of her, which I was saying in tongue in cheek. I didn't mean it that
Right.
way. Listen, Dijonai, I like Dijonai. I'm a
We are
fan.
team Dijonai. We like Dijonai, yeah.
She currently has 4 flagrant fouls, and so she just went on Twitter. Y'all fans swear I'm such a dirty player. I'm so over this narrative because if you really know ball, you know I just play hard as fuck, ASF, and never give up on a play. And yup, we challenged the last couple flagrants and got them rescinded because I'm always trying to make a play on the ball, nothing more, nothing less. And then mere hours after this tweet went up, she pulled a girl by
She
her
blocked.
ponytail.
Oh, she did. Ooh,
Pulled the girl down by her ponytail. And then I think something came out on my account about that, saying that she might have a hard time beating the dirty player allegations. Doesn't mean I agree with the fact that she's dirty. So then I think that was what blocked us.
you got us into Dijonai jail.
Yep. But I love you, Dijonai. Hopefully we're gonna have the stud buds on, and if we do, we're gonna ask him to put a little bug into Dijonai's
Put a good
ear.
word in for
Hey,
us because
we
like
love
we're
Dijonai. Really quickly, back to the Wings. Really quickly, Paige Becker's now missed 4 straight games with a concussion. Arike Gumbawale balled out yesterday against the Lynx. They were actually almost tied at the end of the third quarter, and then head coach Cheryl Reeves made a coaching adjustment, and then they beat the hell out of them. But we now have like some discord around the coaching. We had a question to Arike Gumbawale about what you thought. Hey, what do you think about this new coach, Chris Cocklanes, aka the togetherness coach, aka Man Bun? That's what they're calling him on the internet. That's what they call, because he's always preaching togetherness. Hey, we just need to stay together. There is no leader. We're all one leader, and people are not liking that. And so she wouldn't even name drop him. She's like, yeah, we're just all in this as a team. We're all learning. All of us are learning, getting better every day. And then they asked about the assistant coach, Nola Henry, who was an unrivaled head coach, who was awesome. She says, Nola's young. Nola's hungry. She has a really great basketball mind. She's running the timeouts now. I think we are headed for a coup, a slight coup, and we are headed for a territory of nepotism alert, because Curt Miller, who is the GM of the Dallas Wings, was fired as head coach for the Sparks, and Chris Cocklanes, aka Man Bun, has been with Curt Miller pretty much everywhere he's ever been. He was there with him in Connecticut when he was the head coach there when they won a title. He was with them in LA, and now he's with them as the head coach of the Dallas Wings. So he's a friend of Curt Miller. People want to know, hey, what did Nola Henry do to not get the job? And they said, not tight enough with Curt Miller.
nepotism.
Nepetiz. Anyway, I think we're headed for a coup. Again, I said this in the preseason. Don't think Arike and Paige are going to be a long-term fit. And I believe the exciting news about this is that we are one step closer to Paisley in Dallas. We are one step closer. This team is 1-9, okay? I don't care if they're the first pick, second pick, or third pick. They're picking AZ. I don't care if they need her. They do need her. But we, Sarah,
Paige needs her.
Paige needs her.
Moving on to the NWSL. Savvy King and Trinity Rodman both made appearances back in their stadiums this week, so that was good to see. Obviously, we know Savvy's been out. She had heart surgery. Trinity
Does that mean
was
anything
out.
to you about Trinity? Does the Trinity reappearance mean anything?
I'll tell you this. We posted our take last week about Trinity leaving.
She's never
Now
coming
the coach
home.
is gone, right? And it seems to be that I may be wrong in my take, because
The moment they fired that coach, she came back.
she came back. And apparently, according to some more Washington, people who are like on the boards and they know all the stuff and they know all the gossip in the inside, is that Trinity and this coach maybe did not get along. and that this coach has had some issues with the player personnel in Washington. And hello, just take a look at the amount of injuries that have happened this season and blah, 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 blah. But essentially, it comes back down to maybe Michelle was sacrificing the coach to keep Trinity happy. We don't know. She came back. Like I said, she was gone. And all of a sudden now he's gone. She's back. So
I love it.
maybe things are looking up. Big news though is some reports came out this weekend that Mia Fishel is heading back to the NWSL, which is she's been playing for Chelsea for the last 2 years. She was kind of expected to be like I think she was expected and looked at to be quite on this, like the same level as a Sophia Smith or a Mal Swanson or, a Lynn. I'm going to call her Williams because I don't know how to say her new last name, but she was kind of expected to fall under that category. She got drafted fifth overall by the Orlando Pride and refused to ever play for them. And that was very confusing. People didn't know why because her coach at UCLA happened to be the Orlando Pride coach at the time, which we now then found out later on that coach was up to all kinds of shady shit and got basically banned.
What kind of shady shit?
Well, I think what the official word was in the report was like harassment, bullying, sexism, racism, all the isms, all the things that you don't want to have as a coach in a leadership position in a women's team. And that coach, Amanda Cromwell, was removed from Orlando after one season. Not only was she removed from Orlando, but she has not worked again since. And she was removed. She was forced to divest her interest from Angel City. She was a part owner in Angel City. So she's been like shunned. Makes a little more sense now why Mia Fishel didn't want to go play for her.
Do you think Mia will go back to Orlando, or will they have to be a part of the transfer window and like buy her?
I don't think so. First of all, I don't think Orlando needs her as a forward. I think that there are a couple teams that do need her. I think Seattle could use a good forward. I mean, they have two, but they only have 10 goals this whole season. I could see like the Red Stars making a move for her
That'd
or
be
the
big
Chicago
news.
Stars. They don't have Mal and they, to be honest, have no goal scorers at all. They have like a 16-point goal differential this season. They're dead last in the rankings. They've scored 8 points all season, like 8 goals all season. So they definitely need some forwards. You've got a couple other injuries like Portland, or not injury, but Sophia Smith out for the season with
Let's go get her.
pregnancy and
Let's
with
go get her,
baby.
Thorns. Let's go get
And,
her.
but I don't know where she could end up. I'd be really curious to see. My kind of bet at this point, I'd like to see her somewhere like Bay City or one of these teams' courage that she can go and kind of become the star of that team rather than fitting in with other stars. I think if you bring her to Washington, there's a lot of you have Gift Monday, you have Trinity coming back eventually, you've got Croy. She's not going to be the star on that team. So I think let her go somewhere and be a star. When she went and played in Mexico when she decided to not play for the Spirit and scored 47 goals in her first 2 seasons there. She's only had 4 goals in her 2 seasons at Chelsea. So she needs to I think develop a little bit more in the US and with these players and hopefully to get her back on the roster and back in shape by the time the next World Cup.
I love stars coming to the NWSL.
Did you see Hope Solo this weekend?
I saw her.
She played the 7-versus-7 TST tournament, and let me tell you,
she hasn't aged. That's my first thought. Is that girl hasn't aged one bit.
Which is kind of wild considering the life that she's lived between then and now,
Then and now. The peak and whatever now is. She's looking feisty.
It's looking feisty, but, she still Hope Solo, and she still scares the shit out of me. Best goalie we've ever had in the U.S., but she surprised me a little bit. I mean, did you see, there was like a shot, and mind you, they're playing at like high school, field, and like, it's not like they're not in a big arena. There's not like millions of people there. And she makes like a penalty save. And the way she looks at the camera, you would think it was just the World Cup. Like, it was intense. And you're like, okay, Hope, relax. It's a 7-on-7 tournament. Relax.
I love that. Like, I actually love Hope Solo for that.
Me too. Listen, I've always kind of been like, you know what? She's crazy, but
she's really talented.
she's really talented.
Yeah, she really is. She has that competitive fire, boy. If you look at the cameraman like that and you're in a high school field, as soon as you increase competition, that only highlights how insane she must have been when like she was in those upper levels of soccer playing on the world stage.
She didn't make it. They made it to the quarterfinals. They got eliminated. Solo FC, which
Solo FC.
she was not invited to play with the former U.S. national team players, which is just a little unfair to me that they like get their own team. Like you have Carly Lloyd and Allie Krieger and Heather O'Reilly, and they're all playing together against like college kids, you know? And it's like,
Yeah, it's like a little it's like a little big three, like the Ice Cube League. Let's talk about this drama. Speaking of soccer players who are a little long in the tooth, we had Euro starting next month, and we had some drama with the English national team.
we did have some drama with the English national team. 3 players now, for lack of a better word, very shockingly retired, kind of seemingly out of nowhere. And they're pretty significant players: Millie Bright, Mary Earps, and Fran Kirby, who had all been with the team for a long time. And all 3 said they didn't get, from what I can kind of understand from the internet, is that they were told that they were not going to make the final 23-player roster and said, all right, well, I'm out. I don't really like where this direction this team is going. I don't want anything to do with this. England notoriously missed the Olympics last year. They didn't qualify. So they won the Euros 4 years ago, and I think that they're trying to get back. I'm not enough in the know about the developmental league in England to know whether or not these were good decisions or bad decisions. But when I heard Mary Earps was not making the team, I will say I was shocked. It was a little bit, she's their Hope Solo. And Millie Bright, I mean, again, I think she was captain at one point. She's the captain at Chelsea. I think she was captain of the English team at one point. And for her to not, it's like Lindsay Horan. It would be like equivalent of like Alyssa Nair, Lindsay Horan, and I can't think of an equivalent for Fran Kirby. But all of a sudden, a month before the Olympics or the World Cup, going, we're retiring. A little shocking.
Yeah, and the internet's a little split on it. Some people said that they felt like, oh yeah, these players are getting older. They're kind of losing a step. Makes sense they would want to bow out and save their glory, not go out on a low note. One of them, I think, is retiring for mental health reasons. The timing of all 3 retiring at the same time is sus. It's sus.
England's not like, they're notorious for a little bit of drama, especially when it comes to tournaments. And it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I enjoy watching the Euros. There's a lot of really good teams that play in the Euros. I think there's a lot of really good teams in Europe in general altogether. We don't play in it, so it's kind of stress-free to watch and enjoyable. I recommend you watch.
Yeah, I will watch. I like the Euros.
But we'll see. We got to take a quick L with Texas Tech, because
it's a sort of an L. It's a dub
and
an L.
It's an L. It's an L.
Is it an L? Is it an L? Listen, we've been standing for Texas Tech for a month now, and they got to the final. Best of 3, 1-1 going into the 3rd game. Nyjah Kennedy, the best pitcher that money can buy, $1 million pitcher, $1 million arm, has been pitching every fucking inning in all of the regionals, the super regionals, the College World Series, every inning. And yeah, her spin rate goes down. She starts throwing a little flat, and she gets rocked in the 1st inning. Rocked. Yeah. So rocked, I went and got sushi in the 3rd inning. I was like, all right,
well, it was not good.
I think
it wasn't good. I mean, you could tell. I think at one point you heard someone who hit one of the home runs, because
I think it was Mia Scott said she's pitching flat.
She's flat. She's pitching flat. And right after she said that, they pulled her, because I think they realized at that point.
Right after she said that, they had a grand slam. That's what.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. After that inning, they
Three-run
pulled
home.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
they pulled her because it just wasn't going to work. You could tell she was tired. You could tell that she just didn't have that same, she wasn't
Verve.
throwing the same ball. She was throwing the same speed, but it was the speed that was trying to make up for the spin. And you can't let Mia Scott get her bat on one of those balls because it's just going to go yard.
No. And Tegan Cavan deserves her flowers. She was College World Series MVP. She pitched 31 and 2/3 innings, gave up 0 earned runs in the playoffs. And she lost her grandma right before beating the shit out of Oklahoma. I like Tegan Cavan. She's really good.
I like her too. And the whole story with, the coach in Oklahoma and the Texas Tech coach and his daughter and Sam Landry at Oklahoma
Yep.
wearing the number for his daughter. Like, it was just a great tournament of all kinds of really great stories. Mia Scott playing with a torn ACL hits a grand slam that essentially
She
wins
has only needed
them the
one.
championship. Like, it's crazy. It was a crazy game. It was a crazy series.
And people were watching, baby. 2.1 million watched game 1, which was 2.1 in game 2. We don't know what game 3 was yet, but that is a lot of people watching women's softball. That's incredible. That was on par of game 1 of the Stanley Cup, which is considered one of the best Stanley Cups we've seen in a long time. We've had multiple overtime games. So this is pretty exciting stuff. And what we know, just to put a cap on it, just to put like a little bow on it, Texas Tech just needs more offense. Texas has a bunch of players that can mash, just rip you apart. So Texas Tech, I think, is getting somebody that they just announced, I forget her name, who is a really good power hitter. They need more power. They need more offense. They cannot just rely on Nyjah to win 1-0 games. That's just not going to work.
It's not going to work. And if you're still hungry for more softball like I am, the AUSL started this past week, and our girl, Michaela Edenfeld, still waiting for her on the show, but
Yep.
she had a game winner for the Volts in their first game
Love it.
out. So,
Exciting stuff.
I'm gonna dial into AUSL. I'm like high on softball.
This summer is going to be
now.
lit. We got the Euros. We got the AUSL. It's going to be great. Got the WNBA. You can just lock right in. That's all the time that we have for Let Her Shoot. Come back next week. There's so much more to talk about. There was so much on our rundown we didn't get to. Maybe we'll get to it if it continues to be relevant next week. Shout out to Adrian. Shout out to Stacy, who's going to be filling in for Adrian next week.
Maybe a guest next week. We may have a guest next week.
Oh, we have a guest that has committed.
A soft commitment. We've got a soft commitment.
She said it was a hard commit, but again, these athletes, hard to really know. But we have a soft, hard pause commitment on our athlete. So let's hope, and we'll see you next time. You had anything else, Sarah?
Well, you just had to start the show with a pause and end the show with a pause. So I just think that's time for me to dip.
Time for Sarah to dip. Pause. Let her shoot.
I'm a hot girl. I get anything I want. This is my world. I make big moves in my big heels. Since the day that I was born, I've been a big deal.